I'm here ready to check out the Steinhardt Museum of Natural History, which actually just opened up last year and has a scientific collection of over 5.5 million items. I heard this place gives you an abroad, I'm out of Israel type vibe, so I can't wait to go inside and have a look.
Welcome to the Steinhardt Museum of Natural History.
Thank you.
Our newly opened Steinhardt Museum of Natural History. We only opened to the public this past summer. And it's very exciting for us because over 150,000 people already visited us. And it's the first full-fledged natural history museum in the entire Middle East. The museum is first, it's a national research infrastructure, so it has everything a natural history museum should have. We have a huge collection of over 5 million specimens. The special thing about this museum is that it was established in the 21st century. Now, most natural history museums were established in the 19th century, early 20th century, and they have the aura of the period, and they're very traditional in many ways. They're beautiful. I love them.
Definitely.
But they are different. In this case, it's a 21st century museum.
More modern.
It was designed, it's much more modern. It was designed by 5 top leading Israeli design companies who've never actually done a natural history museum. So what you see is their interpretation of what they felt a natural history museum should be like. In addition, of course, it's different because it has a lot about the fauna and flora of Israel. It's regional. It shows the special things such as the great bird migration, 500 million birds flying overhead twice a year, the huge diversity of habitats, the very special things that we have in our collections and the challenges facing biodiversity and so on. But on the other hand, there's also a lot of international things that show issues in science and are cool and pretty and lovely, and we wanted to share with the public.
So you may or may not have noticed this, but this has to be one of the most interesting parts, for me at least, about the museum.
Our museum director very bravely decided not to have glass panes separating the public from the exhibits. And he felt that this would give a much closer feeling to nature for people who come here. And he's right, it's a whole different atmosphere. You can actually almost touch the animals.
Almost,
but please
people.
Do not do that.
Don't touch. I almost did, but don't.
I make it look easy, people, but let me tell you, it was a lot more tempting not to touch the adorable animals than you think.
We try to have as much stuff that can be touched here, real things that can be touched, because when my daughters would go to a museum, if they couldn't touch anything, it was like they haven't been there.
Don't you love things that you can touch at museums? No, definitely dead. The insect collection right behind me might look a little tiny, but it has approximately 3 million items and makes it the largest collection in this entire museum. I know a lot of you guys, me included, are afraid of bumblebees, but did you know that Israel has over 1,200 different species of bumblebees that actually pretty much save our world? Caught him. I'm gonna go continue exploring and let's go check out the evolution of us. I'm going to find out what we as humans are. Question of my life. You're welcome to place your hand on the model. Notice the similarities and differences between your hand and the chimpanzees. Yeah, a little different, except for not really. Their thumb is a little smaller. Crucifixion was a common and very cruel punishment in ancient times. However, there's no written documentation or evidence that shows how they did it. Now, this is the first piece of evidence that shows that and documents that there was such a thing as crucifixion. You can see here that there's the nail going into some type of bone, someone's bone. We're not saying who, and we don't know who.
we decided to balance, to try and do between the local and the international. And we have 8 permanent galleries and 1 temporary exhibitions gallery. And then we also have the outside as an external gallery. The museum was curated for 2 major missions. One is to record and study biodiversity. And this is our mission. Like all natural history museums, we have large collections and you could study changes in nature through time through the collections. Other mission is to share our treasures with the public.
So tell me, what are some of the main causes or reasons for animals to go extinct?
The major cause is loss of habitat, fragmentation of habitat, and transformation of habitat. Okay. And that's the major cause internationally. Other issues are climate change, which is beginning to be a big issue. It's invasive species that we move accidentally or intentionally from one place to another and cause damage to the local ecosystem. There's overexploitation, which includes overhunting, overfishing, over picking flowers or whatever. And of course there's pollution, and there's a combination of all these, and these are the major causes. Right. And it's a big issue globally because when my parents were born in 1925, there were less than 2 billion people on Earth. Now there's close to 8 billion, and we need to learn how to live in this huge density.
In harmony.
Yeah.
So what's going on in this specific room over here?
This is a really special collection. It was collected by a German priest 110 years ago. He was a German Catholic priest who moved to Israel, and he was a gentleman priest naturalist, as the period had. He collected and he paid hunters to hunt, and he hunted himself. And then he had exchanges with museums abroad, which is why we have the duck-billed platypus or the armadillo or other species that are not local. But the amazing thing about this collection is the species that are local. So we have the last Nile crocodile from the coastal rivers of Israel. We have the last cheetah from Israel, from the Arava Valley. We have the last oryx from Israel, the last leopard from the Judean mountains, the last roe deer, last fishing owls. It's like a snapshot of nature as it used to be here, which is sort of a warning sign for all of us to notice not to continue this pattern of loss of biodiversity. Yes, we actually had lions here until the 12th century, until the Crusaders' time, and they were lost then. And we had brown bears until 100 years ago. So actually a full third of the large mammals and birds of Israel have either gone extinct or are threatened with extinction.
You guys remember a few episodes back, I brought you guys to Mount Hermon here in Israel. Well, fun fact for you guys, due to the diversity of habitats, the Hermon region is the most species-rich region in all of Israel, where many of these species are found nowhere else. There was something that you could tell our viewers over here, maybe a tip that you could give them about maybe helping the ecosystem or helping animals like these that do go extinct. What is something that us can do at home?
There's a lot of things, but one thing is reduce your use of plastics. Don't throw them into the sea. Try to reduce, in general, say reduce, reuse, recycle is probably the 3 key words for a lot of things. Don't bring invasive species. Be very careful about fruits or things that you transfer from one country to another. We can make a change. We're smart species, but we need to be focused on making this change.
The Steinhardt Museum of Natural History has to be one of the most interesting and unique museums I've seen here in Israel. But we're off to our last and final stop, Playa Netanya in the city of Netanya.